Shalom, giving all praise unto Yabashima Shai, Bashim Kohakodash, double honors unto the apostles of great millstone, and honest you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. It's going to be a quick update on the systems that Esau's starting to put in place. And we know there's already a war against food, and ultimately that's going to lead to a war against the people, because the carbon that they're trying to reduce is all you people up on the face of the planet, but more so than anybody else, it's the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, pursuing to the book of Psalms 140, Psalms, pursuing to the book of, it's going to come to me in a second, Psalms 80, the 83rd chapter, where the scripture speaks about how they make of, they've taken crafty counsel to take the anointed of the Lord from the earth. Okay, so we're just going to take a look at a handful of these articles, and we're going to speak about it, filtering it out through the Spirit. We'll start off here with this particular one here, where it says, have we reached peak meat, and why one country is trying to limit the number of its livestock? Okay, and this is what people eat, and you better believe it's not going to stop with beef and lamb or whatever. It's going to extend far beyond the meat industry, right? Because you're ultimately the carbon that they're trying to reduce. Dutch farms are fleeing the squeeze of the EU rules, and that's the whole worldwide. That's the whole entirety of the EU, right? And they got these agendas, and they got these plans, and they got these targets, namely the 2030 targets, and they're going to come with sweeping changes. It's going to say here, to the farming system. And again, like I said, you got to ask yourself, you're going to have these sweeping changes, and 1 minute, and this is what's happening out here within Britain, within the UK, they got so-called food shortages and food price hikes, right? They're saying that the main driving force for inflation out here within the UK is food. So you would think a rational mind is going to increase the amount of food productivity. Well, this is an irrational mind, and they're not dealing with a situation where they're trying to stop inflation. See, inflation's good for them, but because they could start getting rid of this kingdom and usher in, like it says on the notes, like it says on the dollar note, they could usher in the NWO, right? So you got a situation out here where pretty much this inflation that they got out here is rampant, and the closer and closer we get to the NWO being set up, you better believe there's going to be more crises, whether it be crises of finance or crises of food or crises of whatever the situation is, whatever's going to destabilize the global economic system. That's what they're going to do. So it says, have we reached peak meat, and why one country is trying to limit the number of livestock? Dutch farmers are fleeing from the squeeze and the need for sweeping changes for farm system. Could a huge producer like the US follow suit? And of course we know that they're going to follow suit. That's prophetic. Okay, that's the prophetic, right? 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter comes to mind. And many other scriptures that speak about lack of bread, lack of work. Because remember, food and food production accounts for a lot of jobs for a lot of people, man. Right? One of the most basic jobs that people speak about is flipping burgers. But if there's no burgers to flip, then of course you ain't going to have no work, no cashier jobs, all of them little jobs that people thought they could rely on. You're going to have that. And that's why the scripture also speaks about how that you women, you're supposed to rise up, that you're at ease, because all of these little cushiony jobs that you had, and these backup plans that you had, Esau is getting ready to take those away. Let's follow this. It says Ingrid de Spain is one of thousands of dairy farmers in Netherlands who says sometimes lies awake at night, and since a court ruling in 2019 which found the Dutchies were breaking the European law, her farm of 100 cows in the North of Holland has been illegal. And you got to ask yourself, well, how could a farm become illegal, man? This is a terrible life that we're living in, a terrible world that we're living in. You're going to make cow dairy farms illegal. You got to think about that. And that might be the title of the video. Like, straight up there. This ain't no hocus pocus article. This is from The Guardian, man. This ain't no alternative news outlet. This is readily available information here. And they're letting you know straight up and down that the farm of 100 cows is illegal. That should let you know what we're getting into. Like the other 2,500 plus farmers whose environmental permission was suddenly invalid, she wants a future where she can earn a living and farm legally again. Okay, so that's the world we're living in right now, man. Right, Esau's getting ready to make a move. In November, the Dutch government announced the first part of 24.3 billion plan to buy out 3,000 farms. So it's either you give up your farm by force if you refuse to stop farming, or you gonna take the payout. Most of these people are gonna take the payout, and then that's gonna mean the corporations are gonna have the entirety of the global food control. And this is what we've seen with plans like the gates of hell, if you know who I'm talking about. Okay, this is what they've been speaking about for the longest. It says here, a major environmental polluters near protected nature reserves, if necessary, through compulsory purchase. Take a look at that. Compulsory purchase with pain in our hearts. It's hugely controversial, and initial outlines have been announced after years of protests and tense negotiations. But it's gonna come, man. It's gonna come. They're gonna say the reasons are ammonia, nitrogen, nitrous oxide. But what about all of that those industries that are detrimental to the earth that they're gonna keep, right? Because there's particular industries out there that are very detrimental to the earth that they're gonna keep because they can make money off of it, right? None come to mind now that's not gonna be YouTube flagged, right? That the algorithm ain't gonna flag up and try to take down. But there's plenty of industries out there that you could really cut down. But when you're seeing people talking about farms and you're already in a food crisis, right? You're already in a situation where out here within the UK, they're saying last year it was the energy bills, but they're saying now the main driving force between between inflation, right? Which inflation has basically led the central bank to increase their rates. So I think it's about 4.5% now, or 5%. So a lot of people now, because they can't get a tin of beans for £1, they can't afford their mortgages now. That goes to show you that they're making a move. You got to think about that, right? You got to think about that, because you can't get a tin of beans, you can't get your shopping, right, for the prices that you used to have it before. Your mortgage is going to go up by £1,000, right? For £250 a month, or it's going to go up £300. A lot of these people, they're living hand to mouth, man, right? Esau plays a good game a lot of the times, but really they're over leveraged. A lot of these Edomites, you find out that they're over leveraged. Here it is, they got the inheritance house. But after they got the inheritance house, they had to get the bigger house. They wasn't content with that little house that they had. Their mom and dad paid off 50 years ago. They had to get the bigger house. So they're over leveraged, which really, that's not a good thing to be over leveraged like that. Here it is, the house is already paid off, but you inherited it and you're going to use that as the down payment for the next bigger house. It's not really good to do that, but that's what these Edomites have done. So when these rates started to get hiked up crazy, a lot of these people started losing their houses, and it's going to continue, right? It's going to continue because the scripture talks about how that there's going to come a time that's known as the time of Jacob's trouble, and the housing market is a big proponent of that. Okay, so that's the war against food. Let's see if we can pull another article. Okay, this is a good one. This is Euronews. So no flying or less meat. The sacrifice Europeans will and won't make, right, to help the climate. And that's the angle that they're going to use. It's going to be all sacrificial. It's going to be all sweet, and it's going to be all we're saving the planet. But I mean, if you're talking about a food crisis, and they're talking about taking meat away and taking food away, then you're going to have issues there, man. You have issues there, right, where people ain't going to be able to have anything to eat. So hopefully that was of edification. You know, with that I'm going to say, all praise unto Yahweh, double honors unto the apostles of great millstone. Much brothers to be pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.